Hello class and instructor Christina. I am Malcolm Schick and this is my video presentation on the history, development, and current democratic level of Lebanon's governmental system. After the collapse of the Ottoman Empire in the aftermath of the First World War, the League of Nations divided much of its territory into British and French mandates. Under the mandate system, the British took control of the Palestine and Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq, and the French took control of what would become the modern state of Syria and Lebanon. France aimed to turn the Lebanese mountains in the north into a French domain built around a shared Christian cultural and historical affinity. They created Greater Lebanon as a distinct political unit in 1920, separating it from the Syrian areas. In July 1925, the French government appointed a commission which by May 15, 1926, had prepared a draft constitution. The Representative Council, an elected body of the Lebanese leaders sitting as a constituent assembly, adopted the draft of the constitution on May 23rd. Although many Lebanese historians and politicians have claimed that the constitution was designed primarily by local leaders to reflect purely Lebanese interests, the minutes of the Constitutional Assembly reveal the major role of the French representation. The French retained the power to veto any modification to the draft, and he also controlled the agenda. In reaction to France's dominance, Muslim representation made it clear during the meeting that they were against the idea of expanding the limits of mostly Christian Mount Lebanon to create Greater Lebanon, incorporating Muslim areas, and insisted that the records show that there were reservations against the Constitution. Lebanon achieved independence in 1943, and the national pact was created to balance political powers between the main religious groups, including the Maronite and Greek Orthodox Christians, Druze and Sunni, and Shiite Muslims. However, this pact tended to reinforce political organization along confessional lines. Additionally, the 1932 census, on which the pact's 6-to-5 Christian-Muslim representation was based, is now long out of date. Christian population has declined and Muslim population increased in the intervening 80 years. These shifting demographics and the struggle of various confessional groups for representation played a major role in the tensions during the Civil War. In 1948, after the declaration of the Israeli state on its southern border, around 100,000 Palestinian refugees flooded into northern Lebanon. During the 1967 Arab-Israeli War, Israel occupied Golan Heights, Sunni Peninsula, Gaza, and the West Bank, causing a new influx of Palestinian refugees into Lebanon. By the start of the Civil War in 1975, Lebanon was host to around 400,000 Palestinian refugees. The Area Agreement of 1969 between the Palestinian Liberation Organization, PLO, and Lebanese military gave the PLO greater autonomy over Palestine, refugee camps, and access routes to northern Israel. In return, the PLO recognized Lebanon as a sovereign state. The agreement incited Maronite frustration over what were perceived as excessive consequences to the Palestinian and pro-Maronite parliamentary groups, were subsequently formed to fill the vacuum left by the government forces. Violence ultimately exploded in Lebanon in 1975 after the attack in which 27 Palestinian civilians were killed. This provided the spark to ignite the civil war fought between a complex web of fractions including speculator leftists, right-wing Christian Muslims, and the PLO, along with Syria, Israel, and their proxies. The 14-year conflict left as many as 200,000 dead and up to 1 million displaced internally and internationally. Allies shifted regularly during the close of the fights, and financial and military support of various international actors caused the progress of the conflict to change unpredictably. The ratification of the National Reconciliation Accord, or TAFT Agreement, in November 1985 officially ended the Civil War. The accord required belligerent groups to disarm, and rebalance the political representation of the confessional groups. Despite the 1989 agreement, the country's politics remained characterized by sectarianism and violence. In 2005, former Prime Minister Rafqi al-Harhari was assassinated. Lebanese groups in opposition accused Syria of involvement, while Damascus denied the charges. Huge pro-Syrian and anti Since the beginning of the Syrian conflict in March 2011, tensions have spilled over into Lebanon with deadly clashes between Sunni Muslims and Hezbollah forces have also entered Syria, fighting on the side of the siege government. In March 13th, Syrian forces fired rockets into northern Lebanon in retaliation for militants crossing the border to fight alongside the rebels. Contributing even more to strain on Lebanese state is an immense influx in Syrian refugees since 2011. 1,500,000 Syrian refugees have fled to Lebanon as of December 2013, and it is estimated that this could rise to 2 million in the first half of 2015. This means nearly 1/4 of the population in Lebanon is now Syrian.